violate the idea of OOP. So why and when we must use anemic model? Of course, they might not be bad to use anemic models in some scenarios. So when can we use anemic models? If you can throw some light on this, because it's not always you are going to follow the rich models or DDD, or you maybe have simpler applications and you might have a simpler architecture. So it's very
Yeah,
easy to build with dynamic model. If it's very easy to build with dynamic model, why would someone go with the rich models?
I would go with the rich models just because of the cohesion that it brings, just because of everything is together. Okay, be it in one file or be it in one namespace, at least I know where it is. And
Exactly.
in the
Exactly.
case of Java, it's also, it serves, I do have state in there as well, right? And so some of that behavior will be some kind of gatekeeper to guard the state. If you're a good programmer, I mean, you think about that. Your state can change, so you need to be sure that whatever you do, it's correct, right? That the
Exactly.
result is correct.
Exactly.
But I can't really think of a use case immediately for anemic domain models. Of course, if it's really, really simple, I mean, why
Like
complicate
if
things?
someone yes, if someone is using microservices architecture, it's very, application is very much decoupled, and
I would go with
and
REST endpoint. So the
sorry, you
stateless
would go
nature of REST
if
endpoint.
you're using microservices in your application, like if you're following microservices architecture, would you prefer anemic, or would you go with the rich one?
It depends a bit on your definition or on what you think that a good microservice is.
Basically, it depends upon the use
Yeah.
cases. Mostly depend upon the use cases.
That
Exactly.
as well. Oh,
Yeah.
I do have a use case. I'm sorry if I interrupted somebody. This is actually something that we do have a lot right now in my current environment. We are processing a lot of data. We've chosen an object-oriented language, but actually a lot of the work that needs to be done is just take information, very small modifications, store it, be sure that it's persisted, and then just, pipe it through something else. It doesn't really make that much sense to have a rich domain model then, really. I mean, it doesn't really make that much sense to have an object-oriented language there. If we would.
James is so much agreed with you. James is so much agreed with you.
Oh no, I
I can see
100%
from
agree. I
his
was going to say
expressions.
ETL. So
Yeah,
exchange,
Yes.
transform, load. So anytime you have those small processes where it's very data centered and you're just doing translations from A to B, exactly, 100%. You don't need anything that's rich. And that's where I was going with the REST
Yes.
APIs, because sometimes they function the same way. You come in, you grab some data from the database, you do a translation, you send it. It's practically an ETL, a
yeah,
stateless ETL, which it just comes in with data, returns what you need, just in a different format and with some state that was saved in the database. But technically, you're not doing any state in your part in your backend. So that would be like an
exactly.
ETL situation as well. So yes.
Nicholas, you are a Java developer.
I'm sorry, I am.
Sorry, you are a Java developer. Sorry, I just forgot to introduce in the start. You are a Java developer. You were a,
Exactly.
all right. I
I've
did
done
Java
some.
only in my semester projects.
Okay, but did you enjoy it?
Yes, I enjoyed. It was quick to learn it, and obviously, if your OOP concepts are strong, I think language is not a barrier. If your foundations are strong, the language is not a barrier. And heading
Exactly.
over to James, you are senior application developer in the United States. So you are major developing in .NET or Java or Angular. Or what are your tech stacks?
So C++, I'm going to get back into that a little bit. .NET, heavy in .NET, Java, I've done a lot of Java, but not recently. But Java 1.2 was my first, and then Java 8 with Project Jigsaw, and after Jigsaw with 11, I kind of got disheartened with it because I really wanted the Hadoop ecosystem to be better. So a little bit of Java, but not as much. I mean, NetBeans is one of my favorite all-time editors. It's just really great.
That
But
means
Eclipse is good too. It depends whichever side you like. And then I've done a little bit of Python for some side projects, but not much. And then JavaScript. So Angular and React are my main projects right were my main
great.
projects. I just kind of rolled over to the back end side of things, whereas I was on for the last 4 years on the front end side of things. So yeah, it's
I
exciting, lots of
thank you.
technologies,
Thank
lots
you
of,
for
but
sharing. And
you're right.
yes, I really appreciate that you guys came over this session and we're discussing, it enhanced my knowledge as well. So I think that people who are going to listen to us, they're going to put focus on what are they heading towards, what are they using. So it's going to add to their knowledge as well. So I really appreciate when someone is willing to add to the community. I really appreciate you. And before ending the session, I would like to, I have two things in my mind to discuss before concluding the session. First of all, many developers, argue that why we need to learn the OOP. It's not necessary for us to learn though. We are not implementing it somewhere somehow. So I would like you to, encourage people to learn basically who are the developers who are beginners or maybe who are professionals. They're not, putting the so much focus on OOP, and I would like you to address to them that OOP is very much necessary. So and first you both answer this, throw lights on this, and I'll be asking you one last question, and then we will conclude.
Free to go, Nicholas.
If
Nicholas.
I'm sorry. Yes, yeah, I'm sorry. So I thought you were going to ask a question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just want you to motivate people to learn OOP. So they are not, people are not learning OOP. So they say
Okay,
that they argue that it's not necessary. We are not using it.
yeah, but they should at least to understand that there's a different way of thinking. I'm not advocating that OOP is the best or it's the only thing that you should learn. I'm not advocating the opposite either. I think there's a room for both and actually a necessity for both. But if you do learn OOP, learn it well. Go deep. Start with the basics, really the fundamentals, and
Yes.
try to take a look at the history as well to understand better what it's supposed to be doing. That's what I would say.
Yes, for me,
And
I
then
would add on pick everything into roles. Once you put things into different roles, you'll be able to separate things out a lot better. So object-oriented is like a section, a way of learning. Functional programming with pure functions, like the easiest way you can program is necessary too. You need both sides of it. And like I said earlier, I think they really work together. The object-oriented on the data side and the behavioral with the functional side of programming. And I say functional, it's not function chaining. It's just the fact that you're keeping things, pure, you're keeping things that way. Even in Java, you have the options to do some of that with read-only variables in your objects. And then from there, another way of segregating things apart. So we've been talking about how we keep A and B separate. Like a little bit of you can use full slice development, which is similar to full stack, but full slice in order and keep your focus on one feature at a time, and then look at another feature and write it, and then another feature and write it. And once you do that, you're able to use these other techniques with object-oriented to communicate between these pieces and parts to make, really high-level workflows. A walking skeleton is another way to approach this. You can flesh it out later. So yeah. So it's a good way, but that goes into Conway's law and how Conway's law helps you architect a system based on the way you organize yourself and your communication. Even if you're doing it just by yourself, will help you organize your application.
That's a very good point. That's an awesome point. Great.
So what do you guys think about functions with fewer arguments?
Oh, you're pulling us into the Uncle Bob discussion. Yeah, I mean, I don't have that big of an opinion on it, even though I do dislike functions with 10 or 14 parameters. I mean, there's really no point in that. If you can keep them short, if you can make it, how should I put it? You can make it more
because after reading Uncle Bob's book, I was thinking a lot about it, and then I asked Uncle Bob. The main motivation of asking Uncle Bob was, you have written there should be no arguments. I'm believing it, but people are not ready to believe it. Especially James. James was never ready to believe it.
Well, Uncle Bob's opinionated like I have been opinionated. In fact, he pretty much changed my whole programming career. So he is very awesome. But for me, it's the sentences. If you put too many words in a sentence, are you going to pay attention to that sentence? No. If you put too many parameters, it's not going to read like a sentence. And while Uncle Bob says that code should read like well-written prose, I think code should read like well-written workflows. I don't think that we need to be quite so artistic with it, but it does need to read. And when I've been reading Domain-Driven Design by Eric Evans, he puts it in the fact that, like, when he writes a function, he'll put a verb as the function name, the behavior name. We'll have a verb in it. It's like try kick ball or try kick goal, something like that. There'd be some type of a verb built into the behaviors, whereas the data side of things are nouns. And when you do that, it reads verb, noun, noun, noun. And you want to order those parameters so that it makes sense if you're reading it as a sentence too. So, like, what's the most important thing? Well, you're trying to kick the goal, you might put that first, or the ball, you might put that first, or whatever object you're putting into that function. So yeah, for me, it's really about the sentence, and you're just really trying to talk to, other developers that may read your code and yourself when you've, walked away from it from a day and come back.
Yeah.
So someday we can have session with Uncle Bob too, because he told me that, Maria, if you want invite anyone, I'm ready to talk and I'm ready to share. So someday, especially James, James is the real candidate. So we all can have the session with Uncle Bob. He's so nice person and he's ready to share what he has. So the purpose is not to, just come into a conflict or argue. The purpose is to spread the knowledge.
Yes.
Especially for newcomers who ask so many questions. So there should be a central boundary or central area where you should guide others, basically, who are just starting out their career. So we can have session with Uncle Bob in one day. If you guys were available any day, I can invite. He's laughing. Nicholas is laughing.
I'll take a day off if that happens. I mean, not because I would agree with everything, but I like your point. It's not about who's right. It's a discussion about what can we learn from it.
Exactly.
I like that.
And I'm so thankful, and I'm really thankful to James and Nicholas. You guys joined my session. Definitely, you guys are more experienced, and you are being to more different exposures than myself. So I'm always ready to learn from anyone who is willing to share. So not only it benefits me, it benefits the community. So many followers Nicholas has, James has. So people who are listening to us, so they might have a bigger picture of greater idea of how things are going. Something is written in the books and something we are facing in practical. So it's only possible when experienced people talk about this.
Exactly, that's true.
And I don't want the session to end, but Nicholas is having a meeting at 1:30.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I really have to go.
I would conclude it.
I got to get to work as myself, so.
Thank you very much for organizing and for talking, and we will talk again. Absolutely.
Yes.
See you
later. Fun. Thank you.
was absolutely fun
Thank
and long
you.
overdue. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.